name is Mermaid Mari and welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to be reviewing my Silicone Mermaid tail from Mermethyste. Just a quick disclaimer before we get into the video. Yes, I'm in a weird spot right now. This is going to be my new mermaid studio. It's a caravan and me and my dad are renovating it and it's gonna be mermaid themed and it's gonna be so cool. If you want to see more updates on the van, you can check out my Patreon account. There's a link in the description where I'm posting all my updates. But yeah, so I'm in a caravan right now. It doesn't have a wall on the back, but I do have a couch now, so I'm going to start filming some of my videos in the van. And along with that, if you hear a rustling noise, it's my window that doesn't have glass in it, so I apologize for that. It has a bag taped over it to keep the rain out. There's also a lot of kids playing outside at the moment, so again, I'm really sorry if there's a lot of background noise. Okay, so onto the video and what you came here for. A review of my Silicone Mermaid tail. This is a long story, so I hope you will indulge me, but otherwise just skip forward to the review points. But I am going to talk about how I got this tail and why I got this tail before I dive into the pros and cons of this tail maker. So the story goes back a few years ago, honestly actually quite a few years ago. I was looking at mermaid tails online, whatever, and I saw this tail and it was a replica of a H2O design, if you're familiar with H2O. It was a really good replica and I fell in love with that tail and I looked everywhere and the maker was no longer making tails and I was like, alright, I guess I'll just never be able to get one of those. I've always liked H2O. It's not my favorite, but I just love the tails. They're so realistic and the colors are really cool. And when I saw that tail online, I just was like, that is a really, really good replica tail. I'm an actor as well, so I've always been drawn to like mermaids in movies and TV shows. And if I could have a tail that was like one in a mermaid movie or TV show, that would just have been awesome. So fast forward a couple of years to 2022, I think. That tail came up for sale secondhand and I was like, I had never seen one of these tails. The maker didn't make them anymore and it was for sale and it was a reasonable price and I bought it. I spent a lot of money, all of my savings basically, because I was like, I need this tail. It is so pretty and unique and like, oh, it just was so good. So I bought the tail and you can actually find the unboxing video on my channel. The tail was damaged and the guy I bought it from, he said he didn't know about any of the damage. So I'm led to believe it happened in the mail, but unfortunately when it arrived, it had some pretty massive tears in it. And because I bought it secondhand, I did know it wasn't gonna fit me properly. It was made for a guy, so proportions were a bit off. It was too big, it was too tall. There was a whole lot of things, but I bought this tail mostly to have a tail that was like a movie tail. Like, it obviously wasn't made for H2O or anything, but it was a replica tail and I loved it and I just thought it was so cool and I had it and it was mine and it was so cool. And then not long after I got this tail, the maker reached out to me and he started making tails again. He came back to the community, he was posting again, and he said if I could afford to send the tail back to him in Belgium, he would fix it up for me, he could resize it, put a new monofin in, and make the tail more custom to me. And I was like, oh my god, that would be amazing because I love this tail and I'd love to actually be able to wear it and swim in it and have a good experience, because people were really mean to me online when I wore it because it was too big. Yeah, that was a whole thing. But yeah, so I saved up and I sent this tail back to Belgium to the maker and he received it and he unpacked it from the mail and it had even more damage. The fluke had ripped. And he said that he would not actually be able to fix the tail because the silicone he'd used had degraded and it was just turning brittle. So the tail basically had to be thrown away. In between the time that Mermethyste, the maker, made this original tail and then disappeared off the face of the internet and then came back, he had been working with silicone and he'd upgraded his designs and techniques, and I believe was using, I'm not sure if it's Dragon Skin brand, but a proper water-safe, long-lasting silicone now. And when he received the tail and it was broken, he actually offered to make me a whole new tail from scratch with the funds that I had given him. So I had paid him for a top and for a monofin upgrade, and he was going to use that money to make a new tail instead. So I was going to get a tail at a very, very discounted price. Which was amazing, and he said you could have any design you like. I still kind of really wanted a H2O tail, so this was the design I ended up with. It doesn't look as H2O-ish as I sort of originally hoped for, but I honestly don't really mind. I just love bright colors, and I think this color looks really good on me too, which is nice. I ended up sending him some more money because I really wanted a top to go with it. So I sent him the money for a basic top, and he surprised me and he upgraded me to a like upgraded deluxe top for free. So this is the top you see here. That was very kind of him to give me a nicer sort of upgraded top rather than his basic top, which I paid for. So anyway, after lots of rigmarole, customs fees and waiting around and just trying to figure out all this stuff, he had some like copyright issues happen with H2O as well, so my tail couldn't be as H2O-ish as I wanted it. Eventually, it was mine, and it was here, and you can also see the unboxing video of this tail on my channel as well. So now I'm going to talk about the tail itself, the quality, how it swims, and all the normal review stuff. So overall, I would give this tail probably a 6.5, maybe a 7 out of 10. It is absolutely gorgeous. It is a beautiful tail. It is made really well. The sculpting is really beautiful. The quality of the silicone is really nice. But unfortunately, the performance aspects of it brings down my score a bit. I'll talk about the top first because that's a little bit quick and easy. There is nothing wrong with this top. It is beautiful. It is sculpted really nicely. It has, I think, it has glitter coating. The tail also has the same glitter coating. It matches the tail perfectly. The design's very H2O. It is so beautiful. The only thing wrong with this top is that it doesn't fit me. And I did raise this issue with Mermethyste originally when I said, can I get a top? And I asked him about sizing, and he said it was one size fits all. And like, I wasn't really sure if that was gonna work. I'm fairly average, but my boobs are on the higher end of average. So I gave him a measurement of my bust area, but unfortunately, I still just got the regular sculpt, and it doesn't fit. It's too small. Yeah, I get like massive side boob. So it's kind of okay for photos, but it's really not great to swim in the water because it doesn't come down low enough either. So that is a shame because it is really beautiful. So like I said, the tail is made of really nice feeling silicone. It feels very solid, feels very similar to other dragon skin silicone items I've owned. One of the things though is it's a much softer silicone, or it's a much thinner silicone. I'm not sure, maybe both. So you can see there's the monofin inside. It flops over pretty much all the way, where there, I know you can get silicone in like different sort of thicknesses, like sturdinesses. This one I think is on the lower end. So it does mean it bends over a lot, but it does make for some cool like floopy things. Along with that though, the body of the tail is very thin silicone. So like it looks really lovely. I'm gonna try and get some close-ups for you. And it has like a fabric backing, which is very cool. I'll talk about that in a second. But it is very thin. It is probably maximum 2 millimeters thick all the way around. Like you can see there, it's got the fabric backing, and it's almost sort of see-through. Sorry, I'm looking at my viewfinder to see what's on. Yeah, it's almost kind of see-through. This has caused some issues, unfortunately. So one, I will say with the fabric backing, that's awesome. When you're putting this on dry, it's like, it goes on in minutes, which is amazing, because sometimes it can take like 20 minutes to get into a silicone tail. So that is very cool. I have no issue with fabric backing. It does mean it takes a little longer to dry, but that's not really here nor there. I just, you know, make sure it's fully dry before I put it away. The issue I have with it being so thin, a couple of things. One, I put a hole in it the first time I tried it on with my nail. I'm not sure if I can find it now, but I did repair it myself with Silpoxy, and it wasn't exactly a whole scale like lifted off. I think because I was like pulling it up over my calves, and I was trying to be really gentle, but I just pulled like a scale. It just like lifted off because it's so thin. So I did have to repair that. There's a little spot that I need to repair as well, because I noticed it happened a couple of times. You can hopefully see in there. It's just lifted because it's so thin in those little kind of divots around the scales. It seems quite prone to getting holes in it just by putting it on, and like I'm trying to be very gentle. I never have long nails or anything. And that would be like the third little hole. I've worn this tail about 3 times as well, so it's about 1 hole every time I've tried it on. The other issue with it being so thin is that it doesn't really like, it doesn't like cinch in, it doesn't suction as much as My other silicone tail I had was a Mermethyste silicone tail, which is quite thick, so that's sort of what I'm comparing this to. I think somewhere in the middle would be good, but because it's so thin, and I'll play some videos here so you can see what I mean, it doesn't sort of suction around my waist very well, so when I'm swimming, it like poofs up and it like pulls back like a lot. When I'm sitting on land and it's dry, you can't really notice because it is made to my size, and it is my size, but once you get the sort of the pressure of the water in there, it just pulls back from my waist. And I've tried wearing belts and stuff with it, which kind of works, but I don't really have any nice belts, so I just have sort of avoided wearing this tail as much as I originally was hoping. Which I guess that leads me into my other major problem with this tail, is the monofin. This has a Finis Aquarius monofin in it. And if you've been around for a while, you probably know the Finis Aquarius. It's a kid's monofin. I mean, they make it in adult sizes, but like it is a beginner play monofin. It's not a sport monofin. It's not professional. I didn't even know you could still get these monofins. They used to be the monofins that Mertailor used in their like guppy, easy beginner tails, but they were phased out. Not a lot of people like this monofin. I can't wear this tail in the water for more than about 15 minutes because it is so frustrating. The monofin doesn't fit me. The straps slide down immediately. Every time I kick, the straps disappear. It's got one big strap around both ankles, which I don't like. And it just slides down. It does not stay up. I have tried everything. I've tried like elastic bands. I've tried like putting a ribbon on it so I can pull it up. It slides down every single time. And look, I've used tails that have broken monofins where you can just kind of smush your foot in and it still stays on because the tail's really tight. But because this tail is not that tight, and the monofin itself also seems to have really, really big foot pockets, like they're really deep. My foot just floats around and then the whole tail can just slide off. It's very weird. I've tried wearing it with booties as well. It helped marginally, but it still slipped off. And it makes it really, really hard to swim with. I haven't taken this tail in the ocean for that reason because I don't feel like it's very safe. I've taken it in the shallows, about 2 feet deep, technically ocean, but like a bay near my house. And it wasn't a very good experience, and I've taken it to a pool one time and it slipped down, and I was constantly having to take this tail off in the water, pull the straps back up, put the tail back on, put my belt back on so it doesn't gape, and it's just a huge rigmarole, and I do not enjoy swimming in this tail. Now I will say Mermethyste has the option to upgrade your monofin. Now in my personal opinion, it shouldn't be an option. I think I would prefer if he just raised the price by like 150, 200 euros, whatever it needs to be to cover the cost of a better monofin, and just use the better monofin. Because these tails are really cheap compared to other tails, silicone tails on the market. He absolutely could get away with just raising the price and putting a better monofin in. I've heard stories of these monofins breaking, the straps breaking, they're not comfortable, they can cause cramps, they're basically a kid's monofin. And everyone that I've spoken to that I've said, hey, I've got the Finis Aquarius in my silicone tail, they're like, what? Like it's not really a monofin that's meant to be used in silicone. And the reason I didn't upgrade when I got this tail, like I said at the beginning, this was a whole kind of rigmarole to get this tail, and a lot of things changed. And originally I had paid for a monofin upgrade from my old tail. He was gonna take the old monofin out because it was too big for me, and put in a professional sports monofin that did fit me into the old tail. And in my head, when he offered to make me a new tail, in my head I just thought he's gonna put that same monofin into my new tail, which he didn't. And that's neither here nor there. I think it was just a miscommunication, but unfortunately I didn't realize, because I probably would have paid extra to not have the Finis Aquarius because it sucks. Yeah, so that's probably one of the biggest issues I have with this tail, is just the monofin. And you can choose to get a better one, at least. So, you know, it's not a complete deal breaker if you want to get a tail from Mermethyste, because there's a lot of really good things about them. But yeah, I would definitely recommend getting a better monofin. Communicating about the tail during the order process was really good. Like I said, this was kind of a confusing order. Like, I'm not probably the person you want to come to about like how does a standard order work from Mermethyste, because I don't really know. This was kind of a weird mix. But the regular communication was really good. The only thing is Mermethyste's first language is not English. I believe it's French. So there can be some language barriers there. His English is not perfect. So you need to be very clear about what you want and just ask questions if you're not sure. Otherwise things might get missed and you might misunderstand something, or he might misunderstand something. So it's just something to be aware of there. If you are a native English speaker, be aware that he is not. The turnaround time for this tail was incredibly fast, and I don't know if that's as fast as he always works or if he was doing me a favor, because he was very, 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 very kind to me throughout this whole process. But once he started working on this tail, I think it was done in like 2 days about. He messaged me and he said, great, I'm working on your tail today, and then I think it was like less than 48 hours later he sent me like the product photos and it was done. So that was very, very impressive. I believe he does have like scale molds to make his tails, and then if you can see on here, he sews them together to be the right size. So you do have sort of a seam in the waist. Some people don't like to have seams, but if you're going to be saving a lot of money, then I have no issue with it. And it's not that obvious, it's fine. And the color blending is really beautiful as well. But yeah, so I think that probably contributes to him being a little bit faster than people who are making seamless silicone mermaid tails. The shipping took like standard amount of time from Europe to Australia. I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks, something like that. I didn't have to pay any customs on the way back in, which was good. I did have to pay customs when I sent my original tail over to Belgium to get repaired, which kind of sucked because obviously I didn't end up even getting that tail back, but that's neither here nor there. The shipping cost, it was a bit of a mess around as well, because he was trying to do me a favor, which was very nice, and he covered some of the shipping costs, but then it ended up, so it was the tail and the top, and then I also bought 2 ginormous bags of sequin scales to make my own tail, and they probably weigh like 5 kilos each, so it probably ended up being like a 15 to 18 kilo box, and it was gonna be like 300 euros. So that was a lot. I think I ended up giving him about half of that for shipping, and he covered the other half, which was really, really nice. He was going to give me free shipping, which is even nicer, but obviously it was a very, very high cost because of the weight. So I don't know, I guess maybe regular shipping just for a tail, because these tails are light, would be like half of that, maybe, you know, 100 to 200 euros, which somewhere around that. Once you translate to Australian dollars or US dollars or whatever your currency is, it's pretty expensive, but it's fairly standard for a silicone tail, and especially for an overseas order. But yeah, this tail is light as, like, the fluke is like, you know, I can hold it in one hand, like, just on my fingertips. It's probably like, I think the whole tail, I think I weighed it at some point, it was like 6 kilos, something like that. So it's very, very light. My old silicone tail was like 14 kilos, I think, so much lighter than that. But yeah, I bought a metric crap ton of plastic scales to go along with it. So that made the package very heavy, but also keep an eye out because I am making my own tail, which is also kind of page 2 themed, but like not fully. So anyway, keep an eye out for that. So I think that is about it for my review. I just want to say as well, I had a wonderful time working with Mermethyste. It was a very different scenario to what I was expecting, but he was very, very kind and very patient through the whole thing. He offered me lovely discounts. He included some little gifts in my order box, and he made the situation much better than I thought. You know, when he told me he couldn't repair my tail, I thought maybe he's just going to refund me, but making me a whole tail from scratch was just an incredible gesture. So even though I do have a few issues with this tail, he was wonderful, and this is nothing bad about him as a person or a business owner, because he just was very, very lovely. But on saying that, I do believe in being honest and truthful, so I do want to tell you guys about the issues that I've had with this tail. But it is, yeah, nothing to do with him in terms of him being a lovely person. I do recommend him as a silicone tail maker. The pricing is very, very cheap for a silicone tail. They start at, I believe, 12.50 euros. So it's a bit under 2 grand, or around 2 grand Australian, which is super cheap for silicone tails. If you look at other places like Mermethyste and Finfolk and stuff, they can be sort of like 4 grand at the cheapest, and then like 10 grand at the upper level. So yeah, like 2 grand for a lovely tail. Like the coloring is beautiful, the construction is really nice. It is a really, really nice tail. So I do recommend him, but just be aware of things like the monofin and the sizing and stuff. Get yourself a nice gap wrap or a waist kind of scarf or something, and you probably have a great time if you fit the monofin and everything in your tail. I am thinking of maybe selling this tail. I don't know. I feel like I feel bad because he spent so much time on it for me, but I don't use it. I think it'll be too hard to try and replace the monofin, so I may just try and sell it on. I never actually was going to get another silicone tail after I sold my Mermethyste. I was like, nah, like, I'm not a professional mermaid, I don't perform for money. I don't need a silicone tail. Fabric tails have gotten so much better in the last like 5 years. And then when that dream H2O tail came up, I just had to have it because it was like a part of my mermaid history. And then I ended up with this tail, which I love, but I don't use. So, I don't know. I might sell it. I don't know. I'm gonna give it the rest of the summer at least and see how we go, because it's nice having kind of like a movie grade It's not obviously made for movies, like I said before, but like a high quality grade tail that I can use in the movies that I make, because I make short films and stuff, and I'm working on some mermaid short films that will be posted on this channel, by the way. Sorry, I'm rambling. So I might keep it for that, but I am also making my own tail that has a silicone fluke that I commissioned from Coastal Mermaids, and it's gonna have individual sequin scales that I bought from Mermethyste. So that might end up being kind of like my show tail for short films and stuff. It's hard. It's hard when someone gives you a really beautiful gift and you don't necessarily know if you're gonna keep it. And like, I kind of feel like maybe it would be nice to sell it on to someone who is gonna use it, that, you know, the monofin fits a bit better, or they wanna put in the work to replace the monofin, whatever it is. I don't know. I just thought I'd add this in here because if you don't see this tail on my channel much, I may get rid of it. I'm not sure. But yeah, I hope that helps a little bit. It's been a bit rambly and a bit storytelling-ish, so apologies if you're just here for the review. Hopefully you got that as well. Feel free to ask any questions in the comments. And yeah, I guess that's about it. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you'll stick around on my channel and check out some of my other videos, and I will hopefully do some more reviews soon too. So let me know in the comments if there's anything specific you'd like to see me review, or any other videos you'd like me to make. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and remember to subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!